Talking today with Andy Rowlands, Director of Corporate Communications for EMEA for Accenture. Tell me about the best career advice you've ever been given.
Thanks for having me first of all. And my best career advice was really to grasp any new opportunity you get and don't be afraid to come out of your comfort zone. And that's something my dad taught me actually. He had a very varied and very diverse career, and actually he always looked for something new and different. I think that's something that stuck with me all the way through my career.
Amazing. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad!
What advice would you have for other PRs, other comms professionals?
So believe it or not, you're not always going to be right.
I'm right, you're wrong.
Having a network of people you can go to, ask views for, ask advice for, is really useful. And also have that diversity as well. So don't just ask people that are like you. Ask people who are different. Look for different places you can go as well. So step out from your computer, go for a walk. That gives you a great way of just mulling over the problem and coming with a different point of view.
Amazing advice. Is there something you wish you'd known before you started your career in PR?
I think if I could really go back in time, I'd tell myself that time moves really, really fast, right?
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Only feels like last year that I was 25 and I'm coming up to double that. Really make the most of the time that you're in. Yes, especially when you're young, you can chase the next promotion, the next job, but actually just enjoy where you are. And I think that is really important, especially looking back now.
Is there a boss you've worked for in your career that really sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I've had many good bosses and some bad ones as well, actually, which you can learn a lot from too. But my best boss would be my first boss, actually, Carol Friend, who unfortunately passed away a number of years ago, and she gave me my chance. And so she saw something in a 21-year-old graduate who didn't know very much about much. If she hadn't given me that chance, I wouldn't be here now. So all credit to Carol.
Thanks, Carol. Andy, you've worked agency side, you've worked client side. What's the best brand you've worked on or worked for, I suppose?
So I'm going to take the easy route and say Accenture, where I am now.
Obviously.
Accenture invests a lot of time and effort into its brand and is consistently reinventing the brand and changing and adapting it to make sure it's relevant as an organisation and a brand as well, whilst also keeping true to its core values. And I think that's really impressive. And to be part of that for the last few years has been definitely a brilliant career moment.
Amazing. Is there a campaign that you've worked on, or maybe that you've seen someone else has done, that has really stood out to you in the marketplace?
The one that I've worked on is the Arcadis, my previous job, the Arcadis Sustainable Cities Index. So it's a ranking of 100 cities by how sustainable they are. And I was involved in launching that 10 years ago. So taking that through the business, it did all the right things, got media coverage all around the world, it got clicks, it got shares, it got likes, it made a real big client impact too. But really what's been interesting for that is that it carries on. So 10 years, long time since I left the business, it's still going strong. And so I think to have a campaign that's both interesting then but also carries on being interesting is really impressive.
It's the legacy, and well done to Arcadis for keep doing it, because often businesses kind of, in my experience, they get bored with these things. A new person comes in and they want change, and then the projects get killed, and they can still be great projects and have a shelf life. What advice do you have for agencies?
The biggest piece of advice for an agency would be to listen to their client, right?
Listen.
I think you spend a lot of that at the start of a relationship, during the pitch process. You listen, you understand the brief and the business. But if you want a longer relationship with that client, keep on listening. The business changes, the client changes, and often as you're doing the day-to-day you can spend a lot of time reporting and speaking to the client, not hearing from them. So spend time for that. But also, actually advice to the client is listen to your agency. It's very likely that your agency does a lot more than you actually are working with them on.
We do.
So listen to them, find out what they do, and that can be just as useful to you as well as the other side.
The best job you've had in comms, tell me about it.
I would look back to one of my agency days, and in particular I had a client which was building Wembley Stadium, and they had a very, very small press launch for the topping out ceremony, and we had about a dozen journalists there and a couple of PR people, of which I was the hanger-on there. And you had the Prime Minister at the time, Tony Blair, you had the England football manager, Sven Goran Eriksson, and the captain, David Beckham, all there in a very intimate setting. And I thought, you know what, this is a really cool moment, and you don't get that all the time. So those sorts of moments really stick out.
Sven Goran Eriksson and Beckham in B2B, that's amazing. How do you find inspiration?
People inspire me, and I think the conversations, the stories, the energy you get from people, bouncing ideas off people, you can't replace that. And I get as much energy from speaking to my teenage daughter as my CEO, but I think the one thing that really gets across is doing it face to face in person. I don't find Teams calls particularly inspiring.
No, me neither.
Yeah, as much as you can meet people, see people, and I think that's where you get the creativity, that's where you get the connection and where the ideas come from.
We've spent a similar amount of time working in the comms business, I think. What's changed in your opinion, and maybe what's changed for better and what's changed for the worse, perhaps?
So I think I look back at my early career, and PR was mostly about media relations. So it was pitching the journalist, etc. And that's still a hugely important part of
Yeah.
the job. But I think now, because the world's changed, the media consumption habits have definitely changed. Clearly, comms is more broad than that. So you look at different channels, you look at different ways of engaging. But I think the key principles of knowing what a good story is and being able to articulate it in a very short manner still absolutely hold true. So it's changed a lot, but actually the core discipline is still pretty much the same.
Absolutely agree. At Rostrum we do more than just PR, there's marketing and other things, but I think when you come at it with a PR person's lens, that I've got 10 seconds to pitch this story to a journalist, what's that key elevator pitch? I think that's really important.
And the same for clients, right? So clients haven't got much time to think. So if you can pitch an idea to a client in 10 seconds, then you know what? It's going to work. So all applies.
Amazing. Thanks, Andy.